The shooting at a Republican baseball practice in Virginia shouldn't come as a surprise. It's the result of months of establishment agitprop. From Kathy Griffin posing with Trump's severed head to a Trump-like Julius Caesar killed in a Central Park play, the media has fixated on strife between the two establishment parties. This isn't an accident. It's designed to keep Americans distracted and at each other's throats as the economy slowly implodes. The election of Trump provides a unique opportunity to create partisan battle lines. Social media is rife with venom and hatred as the alt-left faces off against the alt-right. Factions are established and receive support behind the scenes from George Soros, the Koch brothers, and the Democrat so-called resistance, a ludicrous moniker cooked up by the Democratic National Committee under its new chairman, Tom Perez. The DNC announced it will throw $1 million at its Summer of Resistance. This will further widen the political divide. Polarization is increasingly intense, and the establishment propaganda media is fanning the flames. Violence is escalating. Antifa leftists attack Trump supporters, and they respond in kind. Activists are now openly carrying weapons. We're in the early stages of an engineered civil war. Who benefits from this? The state. It's a classic example of problem, reaction, solution. Create political violence or exploit that which is already festering, and then unleash an authoritarian and militarized response. Last year, a report by a government watchdog group tracked the weapon expenditures of the federal government and found nearly $1.5 billion in military-style equipment purchases for 67 of its non-military agencies, including the IRS and the EPA. The federal government is preparing for civil unrest. The Pentagon is strategizing a response to a large-scale civil unrest, not only in America, but around the world. It began looking into this in 2008 after the engineered financial crisis. In 2013, it was reported the Department of Homeland Security engaged a massive covert military buildup. The DHS has purchased 1.6 billion rounds of ammunition, enough to sustain an Iraq-sized war for over 20 years. The DHS has also acquired heavily armored tanks, which have been seen roaming the streets. The state will exercise its monopoly of violence and terror. It's the defining characteristic of the modern state. The endgame is an authoritarian police and surveillance state. As the Nazi Hermann Göring knew, the people can always be brought to the bidding of their leaders. He said it's always a simple matter to drag the people along, whether it's democracy, a fascist dictatorship, or a parliament or a communist dictatorship. As an operative for Operation Gladio pointed out, in order to establish a police state, innocent civilians must be attacked and killed to force the public to turn to the state and demand greater security. Now that a so-called progressive, a Bernie Sanders volunteer, has shot up Republicans playing baseball, how long before Congress introduces yet another draconian law in response? Now that the political class has been targeted, it probably won't take long.